but it really comes down to the team. So we look for partners, really good people that are collaborative and open to pushing this forward. And the power of the relationship between people and things is paramount, and that's inherent to our design approach. We're not designing things specifically. We're designing for a relationship, we're designing for experience. And this is Robert's mantra for many, many years. He co-authored a book on it. So you don't own your brand. Your brand is what people say it is. Your brand is what people experience when they use your products, when they go to your website, when they use your packaging. So it's about the meaning that people put on your brand with relationship to those experiences. And you don't have a lot of control over it. You can curate it a little bit, you can try and influence it, but in the end, the people own it. So that kind of takes us into Beats. I'm going to start by showing you my favorite Beats commercial. So, and if you don't look like hip hop, I'm sorry.
What's up? What you doing, Doc? Hey, I got it. I'm saying, let's get it. Go on, bro. I'm out of here. Georgia Wheezy airline. Next time. I figured it out. What you think? Drums. Yep. Let's do it, bro.
So what Dre and Kendrick Lamar are going through right there is the design process, where you got a problem, figuring it out, took a little time to marinate, and then they brought it home. So it's, and actually I didn't think of that till just now, but I think the reason I showed you that originally is I think it's, we're talking about brand and pretty remarkably, and as a function of the design team's relationship with Beats, we really were in step a lot of the ways, and the marketing, a lot of times as a designer, something you make, something you do gets marketed, and the way it's marketed seems totally unrelated to how we spent a year and a half before working on it and why we did that. And when design is partnered so deeply with every level of an organization, it can be a really cohesive message. So one thing I ask people ask me, so which Beats product should I get? And so I say, well, so I ask them a bunch of questions about how they listen to music. What kind of music do you listen to? Where do you listen to music? Why do you listen to music through headphones? What are you doing when you listen to headphones? So these things provide the context that tie into everything, every product and what it's best suited for. So this is my friend Maddie, and she's wearing my favorite Beats headphone, which is the Mixer. And I'm showing you this for a couple of reasons. One is she's obviously very excited to have her headphones, as this Instagram post shows. But it's, I don't even know if she cares about the headphone in particular. I think she cares that it's yellow, because it's her favorite color. And I think she cares about the statement this is making about her personal style. And that's, I didn't know she was going to do that when she got the headphone, but she did. And so there she's already curating her relationship to the product and to the brand. And this is where it all started in 2007. The studio is inactive, which means it doesn't work unless you turn it on. And it has digital signal processing and noise canceling. And this was, you know, Dre and Jimmy Iovine at Interscope Records. This was their first vision of what their music should sound like through a headphone. Because at the time, you know, you have compressed music really taking over, MP3s really taking over everything, and Apple pods, which were even worse then than they are now. But it's so, and nobody wore. I mean, you see people wearing headphones all the time on the street now. That's not the case when these first came out, and then they were everywhere. The favorite story that I have that Robert tells about Jimmy Iovine's marketing strategy is a lot of people owe Jimmy a lot of favors, and these are some of those people. And I don't know if it's every Interscope or Interscope subsidiary, but a lot of music videos have Beats products in it, and that's, you know, I imagine part of the marketing relationship. And this is just my personal take on it. I think it was kind of visionary in a way, because making money off of music was declining, and they knew that. So this was a new way to integrate the marketing and sell the music and sell the vision, if you will. So 2 years ago, we revamped that headphone completely from the ground up, and it turned out really special. There's no visible screws. You know, it's very comfortable. This is my go-to headphone when I'm traveling. It's wireless if you want it to be, so it's canceling and all that. There's a couple more of them. Early on, we did an earbud for Lady Gaga that was, this was around the same time. This is one of the first products of this nature, wearable technology designed for fashion. And, you know, ever since then, that conversation has really exploded. But wearable personal audio was where this conversation really became tangible for most people. Our friend Diddy got his own Beats as well. It didn't sound very good. and then this was the next product, and it became the #1 selling headphone in the world. And the reason it became that is, again, context. So you can take this headphone, it's not powered, so you can plug it in anytime. It's very light, it's very portable, and that just made it a really dynamic and approachable thing. It's a little bit less expensive than the flagship, the Studio, and it also turned out to be a great palette. So we went through so many color changes, and it was a blank slate. And that was not on purpose, but it turned out to be really valuable. We revamped the Solo, so it got a little bit bigger and a little heavier, but it's also by, you know, if you ask a music industry person, they're the best sounding Beats headphone as well. So there's always this, you know, innovating in the product, innovating in the sound, and we'll see if this video works. It was beginning of the World Cup, and it really kind of showcased these products. So that one really shows that kind of situational marketing that is consistent with how we design the product. You put the headphones on, but you don't want to hear all the noise. So, we did a DJ headphone, really heavy, really durable headphone, and this is my favorite headphone when I'm sitting at my desk listening to music. Did a home speaker, it sounded amazing. Did a portable version of that home speaker, it also sounded amazing. And a few more headphones here. Spent a lot of time in China on this one. And did a few more campaigns and earbuds. This is the worst name for a headphone ever. It was a project name, and it was because the goal of the headphone was to expand the market a little bit to more premium, and then it stuck, and we were all very sad. It was actually a really nice headphone. Portable Bluetooth speaker, slide I should have deleted, and this is a really great, really ergonomic headphone, and this is where that fuzzy front end part we were talking about, there's a lot of that in this headphone, as well as this one. Probably the best sport wired active headphone there is. And wireless version with our friend LeBron. Sorry LeBron, didn't happen. And and this one was a great product, and it just got recalled due to battery issues. But it was like the perfect portable speaker. I'm keeping mine, I'm not sending it back. So, and then the packaging. I mean, here's one of the ways that we can curate the message to you and help facilitate your experience by making this really fun and gifting part of your world. So I think it's time for Todd and I to talk a little more about context and the whole process.
I think we just open it up for questions.
Yeah.
So we can skip the presentation for the questions. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was give sort of a sense for some of the ideas of what design means, how it could play a role in shaping the material landscape. And I wanted Mark to come in and talk more from a practitioner's perspective of how some of this stuff unfolds in practice. So we'd love to hear comments, feedback, Q&A, discussion. So, yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Two questions about the downside, about protecting brands and protecting products in terms of when you make things in China, sometimes they end up being copied and resold on their open market. So do you see any egregious examples of that when you visit? And secondly, are there times when you come across things that you're asked to design that go against your philosophies of life, where it might be weapons like ammunition, it might be other things that maybe aren't necessarily environmentally beneficial, or might go against some philosophy that you have?
Yeah, so on the first point, Beats in particular has been copied so many ways over, and it was too, I wasn't really involved with any of the legal part of that, but it seemed from an outsider's perspective, it was so vast that it's a problem that you actually couldn't directly deal with. I mean, there's no way you could shut down that amount of counterfeit. But I mean, in the end, it might have helped, to be quite honest. It might have helped sales. I mean, because there was, even the counterfeits still had a big D on it. So at some point, there was probably some judgment calls to, what's helping, what's hurting. I think, I don't know beyond that, what actions were taken. I know that some companies pay the Chinese government a whole bunch of money to be really active about that problem. But I don't know if that's what Beats took or not. In terms of philosophy, I think where Robert and Brett are in their careers right now, they're at a point where they can decide definitively what's okay with them and what's not. So, and I think we're all in that power. We all have that power. And I think sometimes it's a tough decision, if there are other factors involved, career-wise, financially, whatever. But I think that's absolutely in everyone's right, in everyone's power.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I was curious if you could talk a little about the development of the Beats series. So we talked a little about the wavy line going to being a flat line and coming out with that really great product. what's the story behind, and there's a lot of story I'm sure, behind how you end up with the Studio and then the Solo, and how come it wasn't like a Beats 1, Beats 2, but rather different names for different products?
Well, the only example of Beats 1 and Beats 2 in that respect would be when we did a new version of an existing platform. So the Studio and Solo both have 1 and 2, so do Powerbeats, which is the active earbud. So I think where a lot of those decisions came were from just straight analytics, looking at the audio. This is just me kind of watching what's happening in the organization. You know, seeing which audio categories are selling. There are companies that you can pay tens of thousands of dollars to run these types of retail analytics, and you can see where those gaps are. So these, in innovation space and design school, you talked about the product opportunity gaps. That's one of them. Where's the retail opportunity? Where's the category opportunity? Where's their innovation lacking in these categories? I mean, with audio products, it's a little easier, but as you get more and more technological, then you have to balance those things. But that, especially in the earbuds, that's where you have the most of that research and development. That Powerbeats earbud, we spent 3 years working on that, getting it right. And every time we got very close, we weren't. So it definitely takes time, but it's a little, the research-driven aspect of it is kind of conditional on what we already know and what we think we need to know.
I think there's also, I remember reading about the iPod Shuffle, and apparently when the first iPod came out, they discovered through sort of follow-up research that the Shuffle feature was, people really enjoyed using that because it was a sense of mystery and excitement. I don't know what the next song's going to be. And because that one feature was so heavily used, they decided to create a product around that specific feature, and just the iPod Shuffle. But I think this is where Brad's point went wrong, that consumers can become designers. There's a lot of conversation these days in design about the notion of participatory design. Like how can we bring people who actually use the product back into the conversation to design with not just as research subjects, like, okay, how did you use this thing, but to actively participate in the design process. So there's quite a bit of that happening these days as well.
So you showed the commercial at the beginning about your favorite Beats commercial and how that ties into the design of the sound, goes related to your design of the product. One of the things that's always struck me about Beats is it's sold and messaged entirely on design. And there's nothing in any of the material ever about all of the effort and technology that you put into it in terms of how it sounds. For instance, I couldn't tell you which of your products sounds better under what conditions.
Yeah, there are some examples of that, like at the Consumer Electronics Show 2 or 3 years ago. There's a lot of private back-end
But in terms
discussion.
of public messaging,
Yeah.
public messaging is design, 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 and nothing at all about sound.
As the products developed, as the newer products came out, the sound became more of that marketing message. And I think that's when the organization seemed like that's when the organization became more confident in what that sound is and how it relates to what the conventional wisdom about good sound is. But I think you're right. That situational description that I talked about, it hasn't been part of that marketing message. And
Is it a conscious decision to not talk about how good they are from a tech perspective, but just talk more about the experience of the headphones?
From in the marketing or?
Yeah, but was it something that Ray and we said, we just want to focus on the experience, not talk necessarily about how good they are from an audio perspective? I'm just wondering if it was a conscious decision.
I think you'll have to ask Omar Johnson that question. He's the head of marketing at Beats. He came from Nike, and I think you can see the parallels in the approach to sports marketing and Beats marketing. I think it's really about the experience. And I mean, in a way, it kind of makes sense because some percentage of people don't actually care how it sounds, you know?
Those that you are 65 years old and have those things they bought in the 80s. The difference is you're trying to get as much person adopted. As opposed to,